Hello, gremlins. Yes, I'm holding my hand awkwardly. I am in my own office, so I'm not wearing Eric, which if you did not see my last video, I'll do a very brief synopsis. I got my hand clipped in a snowblower, and I recently lost the tip of my middle finger and half the tip on my ring finger on my right hand. I have already had surgery. I'm currently in just like the healing physical therapy process. But if you don't know anyone this has happened to, the snowblower part or otherwise, when you have a wound where tissue is lost, typically they do their best to like stitch you up, but that doesn't mean that you have to bandage because the wound is not fully healed. So I will, in this video and for many videos going forward, always have something on these two fingers until the skin has fully grown back. So these are on permanently for the time being. And then my physical therapist made me this thing that I kind of wear like this when I'm out and about to just protect my fingers. I named it Eric because I think it kind of looks like the Phantom of the Opera, the Phantom's mask. And his name is Eric. So that's why his name is Eric. But anyway, the hand part, I just want to get it out of the way because you will notice it, and I'm sure if you hadn't seen that other video you would ask. But this video, also if I sound sniffly, I caught a bug from Krista. So Krista has a really horrible upper respiratory infection, my wife, and she very proactively was like, we're taking you to the clinic-y thing because she had already gotten medicine and stuff. So I have like, I almost want to call it a head cold. It's not a head cold, but like I sneeze a lot and I'm very sniffly, but I'm on some medication, and this morning she gave me this sinus stuff that she uses when she's sick, so that's getting me through, but I still sound super stuffed. So if I like make stuffy nose sounds, I'm sorry, but I'm just like getting over it. It's like a sinus infection basically, but all the sneezing makes me think that I have a cold, even though it's not a cold. But into the actual content of this video, gremlins, I will be having a very gay old time. And by gay old time, I mean I will be reading This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson. I've already started it, actually. I'm about 100 pages in. And the reason I'm reading it is, one, I found out Juno Dawson had written a couple of sort of, they're kind of YA, I want to say, but they're considered like instruction manuals for like LGBTQ plus people, primarily those who are younger. It's very educational. Juno Dawson in the book does mention that she was an educator, so this feels very much like something you would write for students to help them like understand things. It's very fun. A lot of humor is in it, and excellently for me, there's a mention of gay vampires, and that's actually the theme of this video. So I'm just reading this because I got that book and another book by Juno Dawson that I'm going to be reading in a different video, that are both nonfiction, sort of instruction manual, answer all your questions about a certain thing sort of books. So This Book is Gay is just, it's very fun so far. It is something that would have been great as a kid to read, like maybe a teenager, because I really had no idea until I was in like high school that I liked girls, so it would have been helpful. They also mentioned a membership card, and this like is the instruction manual you get once you come out. I actually have, I'll have to show it to you at some point in this video, I have a buy membership card. I got it at a convention ages ago. This booth was like giving them away for free, and it was like part of the club kind of thing, and you grabbed however you identified and you could like sign your name on it and like present it to people to say that you had membership to the LGBTQ plus community, and I thought it was very funny. It's still in my wallet. I've been carrying it around for years, but I'll pull that out at some point so you can see it. But I'll be casually reading this one sort of off and on, and then I was going to start it today, but time got away from me. So I will be listening to the audiobooks for Carmilla and Laura, which is like a novella, so it's pretty short. And then to follow that up, I will be listening to the audio for Hungerstone, which I'm super excited about. Both of these are Carmilla retellings. I've been trying to avoid any spoilers about Hungerstone, so I just know it's a Carmilla retelling, which is really why I wanted to read it. And then Carmilla and Laura came highly recommended from Happy Haunt's library. She had talked about it a few times and then also thought that I would really like it. So, see, I'm gonna cough now. So I have both of those lined up for audio. If I have time, I might re-listen to Carmilla because apparently it's part of Audible. Like, a free audiobook is. I've read Carmilla a number of times, so I don't really need to reread it before these, but I might listen to it if I have the time or decide that I want to like throw it in as a fun thing to do, because I have read the book a number of times. Now if you're wondering why I'm doing this like gay vampire, very Carmilla focused thing, it's really just because I want to. I meant to try and get to it in February, and that didn't happen because of this. And also I love Carmilla. So if you didn't know, there used to be a Canadian web series called Carmilla that was made by, oh gosh, is it just Kind of TV? I think that's still like what it was produced by. I could be wrong though. So like Shaftesbury or something. I don't know, but it was Canadian. There was a huge deal, had a big web following. If you were a fan of the show, you were called a cream puff. And I was obsessed with this web series. And the reason that it is so special to me going forward is Carmilla is actually how I met my wife. I've mentioned this in a number of videos, but back in 2017, there was a convention called Klexicon that was happening in Las Vegas. And they announced pretty early on that the two leads from Carmilla, the folks who play Carmilla and Laura, would be at this convention. And this is the first time that these Canadians had been in the United States for a convention or for anything. And technically the series had ended. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I don't go, like I'll never get to see them, because it's not like they'll come back for anything. They wound up making a movie and they did go to other conventions after that, but at the time I did not know that was going to happen. So I bought tickets to go to this convention in Vegas. I then flew by myself for the first time to Vegas, got a hotel room, but like this is the first time I ever traveled alone. And through like kismet circumstances, I met Krista because someone contacted me who had been in contact with Krista, and this person had basically made it sound like she was going to be staying in like the seediest Airbnb in the world in Vegas. And I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure you're not going to murder me. You can like stay in my hotel room. Like, it's fine. There's a couch. It's cool. She showed up and then she was like, hey, my friend Krista is here and I want to talk to her. Turns out they weren't exactly friends. She'd basically been using Krista to get free legal advice, which a lot of people do, and lawyers really don't like when you do that. Unless you're like family, or like they just don't like it when you're like out of the blue, like, hey, random person I've kind of casually met. She'd basically been asking her for a ton of info, and Krista's very nice, so she had like provided her some assistance. Nothing official, just sort of like, this is some standard stuff that might help you, but like I'm not telling you that's what you should do. Which was very interesting. So this person introduced me to Krista, and then we spent the entire rest of the convention together. Like it was a group of 4 because Krista's friend Tina had come. So there was a group of 4, and then it was occasionally just 3 of us because the person who introduced us was frequently MIA, and we would have to track her down because she would just kind of like disappear. But anyway, we then became friends. We did a number of other trips. But the only reason I went to this convention is because of Carmilla. Krista went for South of Nowhere, which was a popular gay television show on Noggin. I think it was Noggin, or the N. It was like nighttime television on Nickelodeon. And there was a couple in it called Splashly. I think I said that right. She went to see their stuff. Ultimately, she wound up loaning me the DVDs for that on a different trip so that I would also know what she was there for, but I convinced her to watch Carmilla and also Winona Earp. And so like we bonded. Sorry, I knew I was gonna cough, over queer media. But the reason Carmilla is so special to me is because while I loved it as a web series, it's really also the only reason I was in Vegas and the only reason that I met my wife. Because if I hadn't gone to that convention, I would not have met her, because I don't know how else that would have worked out. Because she was living in New York and I was living in Ohio. So it's not like we were going to casually bump into each other at the grocery store. So there you go. That's why Carmilla is so special to me. I periodically want to like listen or reread Carmilla. I occasionally watch a web series again, but less often. But I am very excited for these 2 adaptations because they are both, to my knowledge, sapphic. Carmilla itself is sapphic. It is the vampire story older than Dracula, in which Carmilla and Laura are a couple, but it's very chaste in terms of modern writing. It's not chaste as of that time period. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Okay, I stopped. I also have asthma, and my asthma is getting triggered by the head cold thingy. So it's making me cough a little more. I will be coughing in this video. I'm very sorry. You're just gonna have to put up with it. It's a thing I do in every video because of the asthma. But yes. So very chaste by today's standards, but in the time, oh gosh, no, very clearly gay. So I'm excited for these two adaptations, especially Carmilla and Laura, because Happy Haunts Library was so excited about it. And then yeah, Hungerstone, I'm very curious. So I am gonna go because it's a big opening update, but I'll just be casually reading This Book is Gay, and I'll give you like some final thoughts when I'm done with it, because I'm just like reading it on the side since it's like a nonfiction thing. And then I'll probably start the audiobooks tomorrow. It is the end of my workday, and we have errands to run, so I just like do not have time to start an audiobook right now, but I will fill you in. And yeah, I think that is everything for now, gremlins. I will update you when I have started Carmilla and Laura.
Carmilla and Laura, written by S.D. Simper, narrated by Lois Ridge.
Hello. It is surprisingly warm today. It's like 50 degrees, so I'm wearing this very fun Sleepy Hollow shirt. I had a sweatshirt on, but I was getting really hot this morning, so I switched, which is surprising because I'm freezing typically. I'm still kind of cold because I've had to run outside a couple times really fast. My lunch break just started, so I'm filling you in on Carmilla and Laura because I finished it. It is like novella length. Actually, I think it is a novella, but it was so short that I couldn't really do like a check-in in the middle kind of thing. So I'm just doing and I finished it sort of set up here. It was so good. So if you haven't read the original Carmilla, I will say parts of this feel like very directly taken from or drawn from, and I'm sure it's S.D. Simper used the source material very, very implicitly in the creation of this adaptation. Not adaptation, oh my gosh, retelling. So the story actually starts, so there's kind of like a prologue where we're with a professor who's reading this journal that was found at a tomb, and they're just like reading through it, and where we are, we're at like LAX. There's been a bunch of flight delays, and so this professor is reading, and I'm going to say, please note that there's a mention of a woman in a wheelchair reading Twilight, which is actually important for another part of the book. So this professor is reading through this journal, and it is basically the story of Carmilla and Laura. So once they start reading, we are taken to chapter 1, which is told from Laura's point of view, and it's basically Laura's diary journal, Laura retelling things from the first person to us. So it is the journal, and we're like following through, but again, it's told from Laura's point of view, so Laura is like and really explaining things. And when the story starts, it does feel very, very similar to the original source material. I was like, oh wow, like, because it is a period piece, so it is set in that time period. And so we're going, and I was like, oh, this is like so familiar. So it felt very, very reminiscent of the original. And then as it progresses, it does get a little different. There is a mention of there's a bit of going against the norm. So at a certain point, Laura is supposed to be corseted, and Peridon, her one of her like nurses, it's not really nurse, oh gosh, kind of attendant sort of thing, is like, oh, you don't have to be laced that tight, and doesn't lace her as tightly as she should be. So it's all the same characters as the original story. So there's General Spielsdorf, who's important, Laura's father, Peridon, oh gosh, I'm gonna forget the other one because they weren't really in it as much. Oh no. They have another person, their teacher, and then Carmilla does appear, and Carmilla's mother. So as the story progresses in this, Carmilla does get into the carriage accident that occurs in the original and winds up staying at the manor. And so they get closer and closer to Laura, but we also get the scene of a dream that Laura had as a child in which there was a woman in her room who held her, and there were tears of blood. A lot of this, again, is all drawn from the original. As this story progresses though, Carmilla and Laura actively engage in sexual encounters. So that does not occur in the original. I already told you the original is very chaste by modern day terminology. This one, not chaste at all. It was wonderfully written, great scenes. There's a lot of discussion of their love and how they are in love, and Laura kind of being concerned about this because Laura has been raised during this time period that like you can't be with a woman. We also learn in this one, it's not in the original that I remember, her father wants to marry her to General Spielsdorf, who is much older than her, like really, really old. And he's like, yes, you'll marry General Spielsdorf. And she's like, what? Why? Like, she's just baffled by this because Laura actually had not thought of marriage at all. So that's happening. She ends up telling Carmilla. There is a discussion of this. We then also do get Carmilla's backstory. They go a great deal into this. We get more of Carmilla explaining what happened to her, how she became a vampire, because in this you're not really like turned. Something she did made her a vampire, and then her life was made worse by, in the past she had a husband, and I believe a lot of that is in the original, but he kind of caused her to become a wandering vampire sort of thing. So we get that. There's a lot of scenes, again, directly drawn from it, but the two women are very sexual. They have a lot of encounters. They really, really grow this relationship. And while there is a bit of tragedy at the end, I will say that because I don't really want to spoil this, it's too short, and that tragedy does occur in the original, we get an epilogue with the professor, where we see another woman talking to the woman in the wheelchair who's reading Twilight, and they discuss some things that seem very reminiscent of two other characters in this story, I will say. I really, really enjoyed it. The narrator did a great job, and it was just a really, really fun time. It was so, like, it was just like a plus up. Does that make sense? It's a phrase? It just like made the original better. Like, it took the original and it made it into a better story for a modern audience. I genuinely would listen to it again, so I'm very glad that I got it, like, and actually like downloaded it and stuff. So I am very excited about that. It was so good. I don't know if I'm starting Hungerstone yet. I don't know if I'm starting it today, if I want to wait and do it tomorrow, just because I really don't know. I really want to finish, it's over here under my hand thing that I'm not wearing. This book is gay, either today or tomorrow. Krista has night court, so I might bring one of the dogs up to the bedroom. We have a lot of dogs, but one of them in particular, he could hang out with me while I read, I think. So we'll see what I want to do. Yeah, we'll see. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, it was very, very good. If you want a very sapphic, I'm trying to think of steamy, a very steamy, sapphic Carmilla retelling, I would highly recommend Carmilla and Laura. It was a very fun time. So yeah, I feel like that's it for now. I need to eat. I'm gonna go eat leftover Chipotle. We got it for dinner last night because we had to run a bunch of errands and I was not super hungry, mostly because I'm still getting over this thing. I feel better today. I also did take some like actual cold medicine before work to help me out a little bit. So I am feeling better, but other than that, I don't really have a ton of updates for you besides the book. I do want to finish This Book is Gay. That one I can't really like explain to you very much. And I did promise to read my membership card, so I will do that sometime today before I forget. But yeah, that's it for now. Highly recommend Carmilla and Laura. I will talk to you at some point later, Gremlins. Not sure when, but I will. Hello. Okay, my hair is super wild right now. And I keep almost coughing, so this is gonna be a super fast update. I have finished This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson. So again, you can't really summarize a book like this because it's like a nonfiction. Also, I had to put Eric on because I have to do some stuff in the kitchen, mostly take water out of this odd kitchen gadget. I'll explain that in a sec. But it's really like things you wish you knew, things you might not have asked. I would say because Juno Dawson does note that they were an educator, they did teach sex education, that this does feel a bit like, not a textbook, but like a casual educational tool. Like something you would give someone and be like, hey, here's all the info that you wanted. I think you could use it as like a reference guide for, it's definitely designed for younger readers, but you could read it if you were trying to understand someone who's in the LGBTQ plus community, or maybe you're questioning, or you are like the parent of or a caregiver. There are specific sections for like parents and caregivers listed, but I do think it was a really well-written book. It's really interesting. Parts of it are very fun. There are interesting parts with diagrams and descriptions, but it is very educational. Like, this could be a supplemental tool for a health course, and I think students would really enjoy it. It's written, like, I would say high school age-ish. You could read it if you were younger, but I think maybe just based on length, this would be like the kind of health class you take in like freshman year of high school. I know I had to take a health class. I just don't remember when it was. I'm going with freshman year, but I don't think that's right. But I could definitely see that. I also appreciate there's a fun section in the back called Guide to Recognizing Your Gay Saints. And it's just like queer icons, whether they themselves are part of the community or not. And then there's just some very interesting stuff. There are discussions of laws and like political elements, and while this is an updated version of this text, it's not like super updated. So this revision came out in 2021, so it doesn't include some more recent events that are occurring or have occurred, so that isn't taken into account. But overall, I do think it is very useful. It's something that it seems like it could be edited and re-released multiple times, taking into account new events or new things that are going on. I don't know, I just thought this was very interesting. I actually have another book by Juno Dawson I might start in this vlog but not finish, called What's the Tea? And it's a similar to this, but it's a guide for trans and non-binary folks, and it focuses on different topics and is also, has a fun title. But I grabbed both of them because I read Juno Dawson, so I'm probably going to start that in this. Just don't think I'm gonna finish it, or maybe I'll finish it, we'll see. But I grabbed it when I got this, so yeah, these are very cool. I would highly recommend them if you honestly just want to learn things or are interested in finding materials you could reference for other people, in case they like need assistance, especially like if you're my age and it's people who like have a child who comes out and they're looking for resources that would be helpful for them. I would recommend this. I'm gonna cough again. We're good. Sort of. Maybe? I think I'm done. Possibly. Behold the Salem, just wandering through the bed, looking majestic. So that's that. I really, like, that's the only update I have for books. I'm gonna start Hungerstone tomorrow during work. Probably before work, but I'll be starting Hungerstone tomorrow, so I'll be able to fill you in on that. I'll try and give you, I'll check in on that one before I finish. Like, I'll do a mid-book check-in, because it's not as short as Carmilla and Laura. So let's see. Oh, kitchen gadget. So we got, this is like a whole thing. It was in another video. Krista's parents got something called a sous vide, and it's called a kitchen robot. And really it looks like a giant toaster oven, I think is the correct term. It's just really big, and it has a pull down drawer, and I feel like a toaster oven, like it has the drawer and it has some trays. So her parents, like her mom, was absolutely gushing about this thing, saying it was super easy, made making dinner so fast, all of this stuff, like so much easier, so much faster, blah, 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 blah. And we've been trying, like we've done meal plan things before, like we had Every Plate. Is that the only one we've had? I think yeah, that might have been the only one we had. But we've done that off and on. And then her mom just kept talking about how great it was. Like the meals are, she kept saying like the meals are pre-prepared and you just kind of have to like set them up in the sous vide, and then like that's everything handled. So there was like a discount going on, plus Krista had like a discount code, and her mom would get some kind of credit if we used her referral link. Like it was a whole thing. We got it for like 1/4 of the price because they're really expensive. And we've had it for a little bit, and like you had to agree to buy, like you're not supposed to have to just do their meals, but when you get the device you have to agree to do a certain number of weeks of meals with the purchase of the item. So like we had to sign up for like 4 weeks, I think is what Krista said. And there was this huge issue where ours was super late. So we got an entire week of meals and we had no sous vide. We even got our second batch of meals like literally the second batch of meals came the day we got the sous vide, and our freezer was completely full of these dinners. And I was like, oh, okay. And I had thought, based on how her mom described it, you just kind of like took stuff out, you put it in the tray, you hit go, and then like it made your food pretty fast. Not the case. So the food comes frozen, all of it does, even like rice. Like so many things that don't normally need to be frozen are frozen, so it's all in one bag. And what you do is you like, some of the things you put in and you have to season, which is fine. Some things you have to add milk or butter, which again is fine. Kind of like an every plate thing where like they give you the basics and then you have to add like a couple things to help it along. Well, the issue here is that her mom kept saying it was super easy, it made it super fast. None of the meals that you can purchase are like less than 30 minutes cook time. That doesn't include prep. Like it needs 30 minutes in the sous vide. And her mom thought it was great because you could like schedule the food. But the problem is, like, Krista works night courts and we don't know when she's getting home, so I can't schedule a meal because it might get cold by the time she would get home. So like we've done a few of them and like some of them have been fine, but none of them have really like blown us away. And Krista was like, the meals are really expensive. And I was like, what do you, like, I just assumed the meals couldn't be that bad because they're not really prepped. They're just like base ingredients. Like it's a protein, a vegetable, a frozen potato, like nothing awe-inspiring. And she was like, no, they're expensive. And I don't remember pricing, but it is very expensive for the type and amount of food we were getting. And I was like, that's weird. I was like, I didn't realize it was that much. And she was like, no, we got some kind of credit at first, but like they just keep getting more and more expensive. And I was like, sheesh. And she was like, I just don't know that it's worth it because none of them have been that great. Like we're running into the issue that like they take forever to cook. Like none of them are quick. So like we had thought, based on how her mom was describing it, again, the meals cooked like faster. Like it was a system, because like the air fryer is supposed to cook things faster than like your regular oven. And this has an air fryer in it. So when her mom was describing it, we were like, oh, so it must make the cook time faster. And again, it does not. Things take as long as they would if I cooked them in the oven or on the stove. Some of them even take longer than if I cooked them on the stove. Like there's a ravioli, we had to wait 40 minutes to eat, and I was like, I could have made us ravioli on the stove. And like, it's not the thing that we needed it to be or thought that it was. So we're returning it. Told you, still sick. Trying not to cough that much. So yeah, so we're returning it because we're within the return window, but like Krista had to hound them to like find out how to return it. They sent her a label, like someone's coming to pick it up, but we have to, like, we kept asking, because there's a thing in it, there's like a water tank, and she kept being like, what's the easiest way to empty the water tank? And no one will get back to her about this water tank. And literally it has a water tank in it, but there's no empty, like there's no valve to just like empty the water tank. So I am taking these like giant fake syringes and just sucking the water out and pumping it and like draining it into the sink. So I have to finish doing that so that we can return it on Friday, because like it is just not worth it. Like it takes as long as a regular meal, like that you cook from complete scratch as opposed to from frozen. And like none of it is like great. Like it's not like gourmet or anything. So we are returning it. I don't know if you've even seen the sous vide, you can let me know if you've liked it, but I feel like not, like I feel like there were a ton of ads for it for certain people, like the kind of targeted ads that happen with companies, and then like it just like is not worth it for us. So yeah, I need to do that. I also need to go because I keep coughing, so I will talk to you later, gremlins. Good morning, gremlins. So my plan was to start Hungerstone today, and that plan may still occur. I just don't know that I'm going to finish it today. It is early. Please note, I'm wearing my Ouija sweater again. I feel like I wear the same clothes consistently in like the last few videos, but there is a reason for it. I want a big sleeve that I can fit my hands through without like hitting it a lot. And I'm cold, and these are the easiest sweatshirts for me to grab just because they're like all in the same drawers. So they're really easy for me to grab one-handed. So until maybe the next video. I will attempt to wear different clothes in the next video, but like they're just like in an easy to reach space. They're comfortable, they're easy to get over my hand, so I'm just wearing the same things over and over. But I love this sweatshirt. It's really comfy. I got it for really cheap at the end of Halloween season. Like I think I paid $5 for this, and it's really cozy, so no complaints. But I just feel like you might think that I wear the same things over and over, which in this case I absolutely am, but occasionally I dress more excitingly. But the reason I don't know how Hungerstone is going to go today is we are, like, I have a job, like a regular 9 to 5, and actually my schedule is a little weird, but 9 to 5 basically. We are really understaffed today, and the issue with us being very understaffed is, on some days, that means I have to do basically 2 jobs at once, and that's one of the, like, that has happened today. So I'm just doing this like brief check-in because I found out like before my workday really started that that was going to be the case. So on those days I sometimes can't focus on an audiobook because I'm jumping between too many task kind of things. Like I have too many things I have to do at once. So we'll see. It just depends if like it's quiet or not, if I am overwhelmed. I don't know. I can give you, I am standing slightly awkwardly on a mat on my floor and I almost fell over. I can give you a really quick update on what's the tea. So I am going to finish this in this vlog. That is the, just because I've already started it and I'm about halfway through. This is really interesting. Juno is sharing her actual life experiences, other people's life experiences. It's a bit like This Book is Gay, but it does draw, I feel, a bit more from personal experience and also from the experiences of others. The other one had some elements of that, but this feels like it draws more from that. We also get a lot of varying topics. So there is a discussion of research that's been done into trans people, discussions of historical trans people, just to point out that trans people have always existed, discussions of non-binary people. I think there's gonna be more of that as this goes in. There was a discussion of intersex, which is described in this. I'm not going to try and describe it right now because my brain is kind of a flurry of your day's going to be crazy. But I have talked about intersex identities before. You should do your research. You could get this book, or Is It Gay? Or This Book is Gay, because it also talks about it. You can find this info yourself, I promise. And we are getting this very fun Trans Hall of Fame. So there are highlight pages for different people, a bit like that your queer icons sort of section in the previous book. But I am really enjoying this. It's very informative. There are a little bit of repeaty things just because there's a section on kind of coming out, though it is done differently because it is coming out trans or non-binary. Oh, there is also discussion of Two-Spirit, which I think is really important because it doesn't really get discussed in the United States, I feel like. It does in Canadian discussions of the LGBTQ plus community. They include Two-Spirit, like they write it as 2S. And there's you can use it as well in America. It just doesn't appear very often, even though we have people who would identify as Two-Spirit. And there are discussions of other third gender identities in here, which is cool. So I'm really enjoying this. Again, it's a YA nonfiction like the other one, so it's a pretty easy read. But my goal is to finish this. I will either finish it before Hungerstone gets started while I'm also listening to Hungerstone. I won't read while I'm listening to Hungerstone. That would be bafflingly wild and I think would confuse my brain to no end. But I may like start Hungerstone at some point today and then read this later tonight. I'm not sure. Krista has night court again, so I will have some downtime, and the plan is for me to hang out with one of our dogs in the bedroom so he gets some extra time with moms. So we shall see what I wind up doing. There's some other stuff I have to do tonight after work too, so we will see. But I gotta go because today is going to be wild. I'm probably gonna need more coffee. I'm glad that I already did one round of PT, so I'll just have to do like my other 3 as I can. So yeah, I gotta go. But I will talk to you about, I'll show you Hungerstone if I start it, or I'll talk to you about the end of this book, depending. I have no idea. Also, I am feeling better today. I did not take cold medicine, so hopefully I don't cough as badly. I'm not editing out those coughs, FYI. You would already know that, but because I cough chronically, I don't ever remove my coughing because it's a thing I do consistently. Like, I can't not cough because of my asthma, so me being sick and exacerbating that, I'm just leaving it in. Like, people in my regular life have to deal with it, so I'm sorry, virtual gremlins, you have to deal with it too. So yeah, but I'm gonna go. I am not wearing Eric again because I am trying to type with these 2 digits on this hand, which is a little tricky because my ring finger keeps wanting to be involved in the typing process, even though she is not allowed to be. So I'm just kind of like awkwardly, like I type this way and I have to like hold my hand at an angle so I don't, because I've accidentally hit my ring finger on my keyboard once or twice this week. So yeah, but I gotta go. I will talk to you later, gremlins, about either Hungerstone or what's the tea. I don't know yet. We'll see how the day goes. Hello, gremlins. You may be thinking, this is exactly the same place you were yesterday, and it is. So I am in a different outfit. I'm wearing my very cozy Welcome to Salem shirt that has this very cool cat that looks like our cat Salem on it. It's a little cold today. It's snowing, which is unfortunate. It was snowing yesterday. There was a huge like windstorm going on at the same time. It was awful. Krista had to go to night court. She said driving was terrible. But thankfully she got home. We just like chilled out in the bedroom for a little bit. We did get that kitchen gadget I told you about all boxed up, and FedEx has just taken it. So the return is in process. That is done. That was like the big thing that had to get done yesterday. I was so busy yesterday at work. I did not listen to Hungerstone. Then we were doing the sous vide thing after work, so I didn't read any more of What's the Tea. So like yesterday I was just so tired after work. So again, we had a person who was out, and then I'm like covering for a person. It's like a whole thing. So I was basically doing 2 people's jobs simultaneously, and I can only use one hand really to type. I can kind of use these 2 fingers. So typing is slower for me than normal. And I was just like constantly typing or like having to do something, or like I just never stopped being at the confines of my desk and just like doing something with my hand, mostly. That was work, like just constant work. Like I was so sore because like you're at my desk, so I'm gonna stand near, like this is how I stand for regular work. I was like constantly moving my mouse or typing, and I was like bending over to like move things. So like I started getting like a hunch by the end of the day because my back was just like, oh, we're very sore. Because I'm still supposed to keep my right hand elevated, and so my body was just like, oh boy, could you just stop moving? So like, and it was just like, I just was like doing the same movement over and over. So like I was getting so sore and like stiff, which was really frustrating. But yeah, it was just like, it was such a long day. And then I wound up staying. The other reason I didn't get any reading done is some stuff came up at the very end of the day. And I was like, okay, well I'll stay late till I finish that up, because we were having some issues with the thing. Nothing bad. It was just, I needed something to work and I needed someone to look at it. So, that got fixed. Like I was done. And then like something else popped up right as I was about to leave, and like I could not get that wrapped up for the life of me. And I was like, oh my gosh. It involved like other stuff, so like it wasn't just like I could stop. I had to like keep like doing something to finish it up, and I was like, oh. So I really didn't get off work until like almost an hour after I normally get off work, which was great because I was already like so tired. And like the way it works, I can't claim overtime, so like I'm just working, like, and I will not get into it. It's just, it's fine. It's how it works. And it's because of how our pay stuff works. So it's not like I don't technically get paid for the work. It's just I can't claim any. It's the whole thing. I'm not getting into it. But it's fine. It happens sometimes. But I was just like, I'm already so tired. I don't want to be here anymore. So yeah. But I found out that today will be fine. The person that I was like doing some stuff for yesterday, he is back. Everything's good on his end. So I should have a relatively standard day, hopefully. I'm checking the time. So yeah. So I've gotten completely prepped, knocked out a ton of stuff. I just had like a couple minutes before I have to go into a meeting, so I thought I would just like do a super tiny update. I don't normally do this like technically right now, but I was like, I have like 2 minutes. Well, technically I had 4 minutes. So I was like, I have 4 minutes. I'll just do this really fast. So I do have to go. But I am going to listen to Hungerstone today, so I will be able to listen to that and actually like not freak out that I'm not hearing everything. So I will talk to you later, gremlins, / you'll get to see Hungerstone starting very soon. Bye for now.
Sando Audio presents Hungerstone by Cat Dunn. Performed by Predator Weeks. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? The Witch. Part 1. It is not the dead you should fear. Chapter 1. It starts with blood. In the middle of the night, I wake like a hound scenting a fox and place a hand between my thighs. It comes away sticky and dark. I used to feel grief about it.
Hello gremlins, I'm cold, but I'm giving you an update because I am a little ways into the book, and so I wanted to give you sort of a synopsis. So again, this is a Carmilla retelling. Carmilla does appear as a character, but the setup of this is a bit different than your standard Carmilla retelling. You're also not getting my hands, I'm so cold. So in this, it's set in 1888, which conveniently was stated in the actual story. Thank goodness. So this is a lot later than Carmilla retellings are typically set. A lot of them are set a lot earlier in time, especially because Carmilla itself is set earlier in time, but we're set in 1888, which is a lovely time because it means I quite enjoy the fashion they're talking about. So a lot of the scene setting, the late 1800s ties into the Victorian period, so it's a period of time that I spent a lot of time researching in school. So it's just fun for me. That's the setting. So we're following Lenore, who is our main character. She is basically our Laura in this sense. So she's actually married. She's a 30-year-old woman. She's been married for a bit of time to her husband Henry, and they are about to go for their summer. I believe it's summering. It's, so this occurs in a lot of like fancy people books. You have your like regular house, and then you have your not regular house, like your house you go to for the season. And then so they have two houses. They apparently used to rent a home, or they would rent a location to stay, for the like summerish season. And her husband really wanted to have his own. Her husband owns a silver company, or like a foundry of sorts called Ajax, and that is, I'm bringing it up because it has been mentioned a few times, and I feel like maybe it's going to be more important. It's more that he's a businessman. I said that so weird, but he's a man of business. So he is well established, he is well educated, but he does have an accent that proves that he is not technically from the place all of these like very wealthy men are from. He was from a family that was rich enough that would send him to a school to kind of polish that accent away, but it does sometimes appear. The issue that we're getting is sort of that their marriage is more one of not love, but rather establishment. Though it is interesting. So Lenore speaks of her husband in relatively positive tones. She finds him attractive. She does say that even when he's being angry, she actually says when he's being angry, he's even more attractive. But she finds him very attractive. She does say that. But she has spent so much of her life with him, establishing him in society. She really took it upon herself to be the person who would set him up for the life they have now. So she's sort of the woman behind the man kind of situation, where she's been making sure that they fit well into society. But the issue then is that she doesn't really have any friends, because she's been so focused on his advancement that she hasn't really done any like connection making of her own. What is really happening to her currently is some odd events. So we do learn that as a child, she was in a horrible carriage accident, which orphaned her. She was then raised by an aunt, and she has this fear of carriages. And I'm telling you all of this because in Carmilla, there is a carriage accident. So that occurs again. So these are the things we know. I feel like it's not really a spoiler. The carriage accident is mentioned. I haven't read the synopsis, so I'm just telling you, like, these are the things we know. In their new estate, she's very focused on fixing it up because they're supposed to have an event. And with the stress of that, she is dealing with that stress and the fact that Carmilla was rescued from a carriage and brought to their home. So she's really suffering from the PTSD of her carriage event because of Carmilla's carriage accident. So the carriage event that occurred in her life is like consistently brought up because she can't stop thinking about it now because Carmilla was in a carriage accident. So Carmilla's existence in her life is really causing her a lot of mental strain. She's just feeling very exhausted. There's this thing with pastils, which are like a candy that is genuinely gross, that keeps occurring, and I'm like, oh god, oh no. And like when you since it is the audiobook, when I'm hearing it, I'm like, oh no, oh, why are you doing this? So that comes up a lot. We are getting a lot of the Carmilla imagery that is well known, the Panther in the Room, the Shadows, A Woman in a Dream. Those events are still occurring, so it is really keeping those, even though the time period has changed. And it's not a young woman, it is a married woman. We're also getting Carmilla sort of teasing drama or causing unrest outside of her mere existence. She is doing things that are truly bothering Lenore. So that is what I will tell you. Carmilla has really caused some issues, and I feel like I'm gonna cough and I don't want to. So we're really getting that Carmilla is kind of pushing at Lenore and Lenore's boundaries and Lenore's crafted appearance, and it's causing a lot of strain on top of the fact that she's planning for this like event her husband wants to host because he is a businessman. And so that's going on. We've also met another character, a young woman named, I think it's Cora. No, I didn't stop it, sorry. And Cora is really Lenore's only friend, but she's much younger than Lenore. So it's very interesting because Cora kind of like wants to be around her a lot, but they are very different ages, and like Cora is unwed, Cora is very young. So Cora has made her appearance. She's apparently gonna be popping in and out throughout the rest of the book, I think. So those are our core characters. We've gotten some gory scenes, we have gotten some very dark backstory elements, but there's still there's a lot that seems like under the surface, like something is going to get revealed. But that's the synopsis I have for you. There's probably a little more than the actual synopsis, but I don't think I spoiled anything. The Kara Jackson thing is a key element, so I don't feel bad bringing it up. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna go Gremlins before I have a coughing fit, but I will fill you in when I finish Hungerstone. I won't spoil the end. Oh, I gotta go. Bye, Gremlins. Hello, you got a slightly different angle. We're still in my office. I'm just sitting on the floor. It is the end of the day, and I finished Hungerstone. So there is an author's note, which is very helpful in this case, because it does mention some things like influences, some key things that the author used to craft the story. I will not spoil anything for you. I will say that this version of Carmilla, so Carmilla itself, I had forgotten that it was published in like 1870, but I feel like the story is actually set like way before that. But I could be wrong. I know the year 1693 pops up in that, and actually that might be not, is that the year that, my brain is tired. It's a work day. By the end of the work day, I'm sometimes kind of like, whoa, and I don't have the brain capacity right now to do things. I could look it up though. But we'll get into that in a sec. So the story itself does differ from the original, as it, again, is an adaptation. I had already told you characters are different ages, the setup is different. It is very definitely a different story that draws inspiration from Carmilla, unlike Carmilla and Laura, which drew inspiration but is more a like direct kind of retelling where things are still set around the same way, it's just a bit spicier, there's a little epilogue kind of moment. This is much different. If you are a fan of Victorian literature, I think you will notice a lot of connections or influences on this, which the author does mention. So I will say there are Gothic vibes to this. There are some things that you may be like, oh, that reminds me of, and it may be a popular story that was published during the Victorian period or is like a classic that everyone comes back to. There are some hints, there's some things that you'll probably notice. I really like the way the story went. I do think it is, and this is solely because Carmilla is such a short book. It is a novella itself, and this is a full-length like novel. I will say this does feel a touch long. But again, I think that's because the actual story is novella, so when I think of a retelling, I'm normally expecting something kind of short. Oh, my camera is dying. But I still very much enjoyed it. I would say definitely you should like Victorian literature, kind of like a classic literature vibe for this, but the storytelling is great. The audiobook narrator was very good. There are these odd moments though where it sounds like they were gonna add music or something, and there's like a sound, at least in my version. I was playing it at like 2.5 times speed, so it's possible that sound was just an issue in that, I don't know, but it sounded like a cue that didn't get like edited over, but it wasn't distracting. I just like noticed it a couple times. I was like, that's weird. But I did enjoy this. This is a good retelling. It does get creepy. There are some creepy moments. There are also some like real world horrible moments that occur like in the business element. But it is a really solid read. Definitely good. I also feel like if you like Victorian detective novels, you will enjoy this. So kind of a sweet spot for me. I will say I do think I like Carmilla and Laura a little bit better, but again, that was more a direct adaptation. This is a more like Carmilla is an influence, but not really an adaptation itself. So still definitely enjoyed it. I'm curious to read more by this author too, but I gotta go because my camera is dying. Gremlins, there will be an end to this video. I'm gonna tie it up still. I have a little bit more to talk to you about, but I will talk to you later to tie up the video. Hello Gremlins, this is the final clip of the vlog. I had a hat on earlier, so my hair is extra flat. So I did tell you I would tie up the vlog. It is the next day, it's Saturday. I am in bed, chilling. Krista just headed to court. She has night court today. And then the girl dogs are hanging out up here. You can't see them, they're at the end of the bed. They just are. I'm sure one of them will move up here before too long. But I said I would finish the vlog, and I did say I was gonna like fill you in on some stuff. I did finish What's the Tea. So this was really interesting. I do think it's definitely beneficial for like younger readers or adults with adults with children or children in their lives or people they know who may need some of the resources in this. So did think it was interesting. It's very well written. Juno Dawson has a very good like explanatory voice because it's like humorous, it's engaging, but it is also super informative. So this was good. Also, this is kind of a hint for the next vlog, so keep that in mind. So I did want to finish up a little bit of talk on Hungerstone, just because I got kind of cut off because my battery was dying. So I think if you like Hungerstone, you would like House of Hunger. I also think you would like the book, and I looked it up because I couldn't remember the title. I do think this might be an Audible original because they have a few of those. But it's, once it loads, The Wife in the Attic by Rose Lerner. I randomly listened to it when I was looking, like I was just kind of like looking random stuff up. It is a retelling of Jane Eyre. It's pretty loose, and it is sapphic. So I would just recommend it because I felt like as I was reading Hungerstone, this felt like something not entirely similar, but they had like, I felt like I was responding to them similarly. So I think they're a good, like, comparable suggestion. So check this out. I was trying to think. There are also books, like, as you're going through that one, that get kind of referenced. So keep an eye out, an ear out, depending on how you're taking in Hungerstone. Because, like, there's mentions of, like, yellow wallpaper. Something occurs in it that made me think of Haunting of Hill House, and I actually would say Haunting of Hill House could be a pretty decent suggestion if you enjoyed Hungerstone. I will say for Carmilla and Laura, there's a book that I thought was a good comp, and now I'm like, oh no, what was it? Oh, Education and Malice. I think if you liked that, you would like Education and Malice. I know some folks didn't like that one because it wasn't what they were expecting. Some people really, really loved it. I really enjoyed Education and Malice. It's also a Carmilla retelling. I feel like if you wanted like a longer novel, something that really, that wasn't a direct retelling, but like kind of had that like spicy stuff going on, Carmilla, I would suggest Education and Malice. So those are like my suggestions if you like some of the stuff that I read in this, or if you have read those and you are curious. I don't know. I feel like these would all be like good suggestions. So those are my finishing thoughts, kind of Gremlins, just like stuff you might want to check out if you checked out Hungerstone or Carmilla and Laura. Is that all? I think that's everything I need to tell you. I'm going to be starting the new vlog pretty soon. I have the time a little bit tonight to read, so I'm actually going to start reading some stuff for that one tonight, I think. While I'm just chilling with the girl dogs, who are both simultaneously licking their feet, which they know they're not supposed to do. So I have to stop them from doing that. But yeah, so we've just been Krista had court this morning, but I was just here, but I went back to sleep. Then we stayed in bed for a little bit, just like hanging out. We caught up on some TV. And then we ran some errands and got like food. But yeah, since she's at court, I'm just gonna read some stuff. It was not like not a ton of stuff happened between yesterday and today besides me finishing some stuff up. But yeah, so those are my recommendations. If you read Hungerstone or any of the books I mentioned, if you have like Carmilla retelling recommendations or something that you think I would like based on some of the stuff I either recommended or read in this, let me know. Keep your eyes peeled for the next one. I am gonna try and get this edited and uploaded pretty quick, so hopefully it's up before too long, and then I'll get working on my next one. So I will... Oh, I have to do the spiel at the end. I always forget to do this, and then I'm like, oh yeah, thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more of me. What else? Oh, I'm on Instagram, at @ClefGoEverAfter. I'm not really posting a lot right now because hand. But yeah, there's that. I think that's actually it now. But yeah, I will talk to you in the next one, gremlins.